The dog?
No, the youngest child. The dog is okay, I think.
Oh, okay. And we are live here. So it should be going to Facebook, going to YouTube. Welcome if you are joining us. And we will get started here in a couple minutes. Yeah, no, when it's me, it's always the dog. And if it happens to be a meeting on Tuesday mornings, which happens all the time, then that's the day that the garbage men come, and there will be no peace. There will be no peace. So
right outside that window that you're beside.
Yeah. So there's
there are just too many people in my house.
Oh yeah. Matthew, Linda Gale.
Yeah.
If you're joining us this morning, hope you'll say hello in the comments so that we know you're with us. Looking forward to this conversation on wellness with Heather Jordan. There's Zeta. Good morning. So we'll just we'll get started in a couple of minutes here. You know, as people are signing in and tuning in this morning, hope that you'll be thinking along this topic with us on wellness, what you've experienced, what your practice maybe is, where the journey of wellness has led you. Ooh, I came back. You hear an echo?
Your sound is a little wonky just for the last couple seconds. It has been. But no, now it sounds fine.
It's sort of,
it seems like you bumped it or something, maybe.
It sort of sounds like there's a kazoo in the background as I speak. No, it's fine. It's all right. Whatever.
That's what it sounded like.
But yeah, we hope you'll feel free to join in and comment and say hello.
Yes, I do have a couple questions that I hope people will type their answers in the comments.
Yeah,
so that's kind of fun.
Absolutely.
I love the chat on the side. Those are always fun to read.
Well, and it's nice because you can then have both chats from like YouTube and Facebook, you know, depending on where people are streaming from, to be able to chat in there. So
yeah,
it's kind of nice. Well, I have 9 o'clock here, so we can get started. If you are just joining us, my name is Amber Carswell. I am the Associate Rector here at Calvary Episcopal Church in downtown Memphis. And I am joined by Heather Jordan, who is a Calvary parishioner. I mean, first and foremost here, but probably not foremost.
Foremost.
She is she teaches health and wellness to high school girls. What high school is this?
At Hutchison School. So it's an all-girls school. Yeah.
And Heather Jordan is also a health and wellness coach. So her website is, I'm sorry, it signed me out of the note that I had going here. HeatherJordanWellness.com.
Yep.
So
yeah.
If you are interested in this topic, we're going to have, a 45-minute conversation here, but we hope that you will continue the conversation and that now you know somebody who is a health.
Yes.
And
yes, I will talk about it as much as you want to.
And I will say the way that this Heather had really kindly emailed and said, I've got these presentations that I'm making on wellness in this age where really no one is well during the age of COVID, where, I mean, that's sort of like a relative turn, right? Like our expectations of how well I am, got dropped pretty drastically, and you learn to live in this other sort of state. So, I mean, when you emailed, you said, I'm interested in giving this talk on wellness, which sounded great. And you got on the calendar months in advance. And then, I don't know, a couple of weeks.
Serendipitously. I saw your sermon on your Everlasting Life sermon that you thought of all the cringy words that make you just go, yeah. And so moist was one of them. And what was another one?
Synergy.
Yes. And then in that list was also wellness. And I was like, yes, that is what we are going to talk about. Because
which is about the most gracious response that one could have when I just unwittingly like threw wellness under the bus of a joke, you know, of a sermon joke. And then Heather, when we were talking about you know, what we would talk about this week after it had been on the books for a month, you brought up this old sermon, and I thought, oh no.
No, it was perfect. It was perfect because you are far from the only person that that cringes when they hear wellness. Frankly, I do too, because it is like, I mean, you can insert wellness into like any sentence now. Like, we're going to my dog's wellness appointment. I mean, like anything that you're speaking of, wellness can be tossed in there. And so it's annoying to hear all the time. And we're like, what are we even talking about here? It's lost all meaning.
And I'll say, like, for me, you know, going through this pandemic, as a clergy person, you know, people get what's lovely about the Episcopal Church is they do take seriously, you know, the wellness of their employees. You know, we've got good health insurance, good dental insurance. What made me crazy was hearing that I could attend a multi-day Zoom talk on wellness, and I just felt like, do you hear yourself? Do you hear yourself telling me
exactly? Yes,
3 days on Zoom in the name of wellness? Okay,
there is no way that I would sign up for that.
My bitterness came from.
Yeah. Yes. So I want to talk about, because that is how a lot of people feel. So that couldn't have been more perfect. That I just happened to hear that sermon and, you know, made me think of all the things we can talk about. So I do want to kind of recontextualize, like you said, and kind of unpack why we have this negative stigma about wellness, and maybe have people rethink how they can use it in their lives, and maybe filter out all the annoying parts that make them cringe when they hear that word. So I would love for the first part of your, you know, little assignment to type in the chat. I would love to hear what does, if anyone can just put in maybe 3 words. What does it even mean? Can you even give it a definition? Can you even describe it at all? If anyone can start typing in the chat, because I'm just curious. Amber, what does it now mean to you? What might be the positive part of it? What might make you cringe? If you had to define wellness before we start really getting into it and unpacking it, what does it mean to you?
Mm-hmm. For me, I've gone through a long sort of process of I guess what you would call wellness for me is managing anxiety and physical well-being for me. So like, there is a real mental part of it, and the ways to manage anxiety is a huge part of that sometimes bleeds over into what the physical, you know, aspects of wellness are for me, which would be, you know, diet and exercise and hydration and lots of sleep. I have a serious need for 8 hours of sleep.
Oh wow! Well, so you're on the wellness spectrum. You're pretty far along, actually.
Go on. Go on. No.
So I think most people, we didn't get many comments on that, and maybe it's because no one knows what to say. At least it's not showing up on my screen. But I think most people, when they think of what is wellness, they mostly think diet and exercise. Mm-hmm. And I need to start a diet. I need to start an exercise program. And a lot of that you might,
Oh, Scott's got a good one here.
the resources to be fully awake to my life and the perspective to see the lives of others. Wow, Scott, good gracious.
That's
yes. Good. Okay. He is beyond my, that's really insightful. We can probably tie that in. Actually, that's going to tie in beautifully to the end. But do you listen to Brene Brown? Have you heard any of?
I have in the past. Yeah.
Okay. She talks a whole lot about shame. That's what her research and her work is on. And so I think when people talk about when they think about wellness, it's connected to a lot of like shame. Something's wrong with me. I'm overweight. I have, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. I don't like the way I look in my clothes. I don't want to see myself in pictures. So it's a lot of just shame and self-loathing. And I think that is where a lot of people start. Their base of wellness starts with just like, oh, I can't stand myself. And so I have to do these things like eat salads and take a walk every day because I'm gross, I'm bad. And so I think that is when when we're bombarded with the word wellness all the time, I think it brings back those feelings of guilt and shame, and it just makes us kind of crazy. So I want to start how I try to help people think about wellness, and how I'd like to maybe even have it reframed for you, Amber, is to think about it from a place of, if by the end of this conversation you can equate it to more like, wellness and lovely and fulfillment instead of moist, then I will have done my job. So
deal.
So the way we do that, instead of thinking about, I need to do that, I need to start this wellness journey because, or my doctor tells me to, is to start thinking of it from a place of, I am doing this because I am amazing. I am awesome. And this is how I support my awesomeness and my amazingness. So amazing, if that's a word. So when I start working with a client, or if I were to sit down with you, Amber, we would start the conversation with the reasons that you want to start on a wellness journey, we would start thinking about, what are your talents? What are your passions? What do you enjoy? And sometimes that's even hard for people to name those things. And if that's the case, then maybe we would go back in our life just a little bit and talk about, well, is there a time in your life where you felt especially empowered, or you felt that you were your best self at that moment? And a lot of people, if I'm working with adults, might go back to their high school or college years, or maybe we would think of ourselves, 3 to 5 years from now, your best self. What do you envision? And we start from that place of worthiness, because it's really hard. The reason why wellness and exercise and nutrition doesn't work in the long term for a lot of people is because it's attached to shame, and it needs to be attached to a place of, I'm worthy of spending this time, because it does take time for to practice wellness. I'm worthy to be well. I'm worthy of treating myself well and taking care of my body through diet and nutrition, instead of, I'm doing this because, I'm not good enough. So does that kind of make sense, for the shift in just how we think of it?
Yeah.
Is that less cringy?
Yeah, no, and that's part of, what I'll be doing in this conversation is just sort of drawing out the lines of, how this is sort of relating to us theologically, and a lot of, how we think about sin, which is another sort of stigmatized word, is this idea that this thing about you isn't actually you. It's obscuring the true humanity of you, of the people around you, when you aren't whole, when you aren't well. And there's all of humanity struggles with this unwholeness, this unwellness. And that's how we, what Christianity talks about is this having life and having it to the full, right? That's one of the lines, this is why Jesus came, is to restore us to wholeness, to wellness with God, with each other. And part of, and we are embodied people, right? Something of the, Jesus came and healed people's bodies. So it's not just something that is your, here I can sit and meditate for however long and find peace, but there's something bodily to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. And so when I am working with someone new, truly, I guess it's just the way I was born or a gift I have, I don't know. But when I see everyone, I wonder, I'm so curious about, you're not here by chance. There is a specific purpose that you are walking this earth. And the world is a better place if you were best able to do whatever your purpose is. And I think the only way to be able to best carry out your purpose is to, make sure that you're getting enough sleep and you're managing your stress, like you mentioned, and you're fueling your body well for nutrition. And so that's how I look at wellness. It's not, it has nothing to do with shame or wanting to look like someone else. It's just a way to make yourself the best you can be, because there's a reason that you're here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
So when we start thinking about wellness, when I teach it to my 10th grade girls and to clients, there's kind of, I call it the 6 pillars of wellness, and they are exercise, nutrition, sleep, like we've already mentioned, time management, stress management, and life balance. So I'm curious if anyone would be brave enough to comment what they think the most important or the central pillar or the thing that holds everything up of those 6 pillars. What is the most important?
Oh man.
So I'll tell them again. Yeah. So there's exercise, nutrition, sleep, time management, stress management, and life balance, which just means that you get a little bit of everything in your life. You get some recreation and some work and some playtime and family time, So those are the 6 things. Yeah. What would you guess, Amber?
Here, I just put that into the chat. So
okay. Oh, good.
Say what they think the best is. For me, I just cannot exist as a real human being when I don't get enough sleep. Like it is. I am grumpy. I'm snappy. I don't eat well. I don't want to go out and I just want to lay around. Everything goes awry when I can't. Like I can get unbalanced in these other ways in a way that doesn't affect my life so completely as when I don't get enough sleep. So that's that. That's what I think about me.
Yes. Okay. And Jenny said life balance, which is a super important one. Yes. I mean, you are really evolved on the wellness spectrum, Amber.
Was it right?
Yes, you're right. Yes. Life balance is a big. It is sleep. Nothing with wellness can happen if we don't sleep. So the number one thing. Oh, go ahead.
No, did you see that there was just the study that came out that people who don't get enough sleep are more likely to develop dementia at an early age, and then they're like your 60s or 70s. So anyway.
Yes. So if anyone came up and just said, Heather, I need to start on a wellness path. How should I start? And I would say, go to sleep. Get enough sleep. And a lot of people are surprised by that. I think they would think that I would say, okay, well, you need to start, a couch to 5K program, or, eat salads for lunch every day. But it is truly sleep. We can't do anything without sleep, and it affects all the other pillars more than anything else. So if you don't sleep, you're more likely to reach for, food. I tell my 10th graders, you gain energy 2 ways, either by sleep or nutrition. Mm-hmm. And if you don't sleep, you're going to reach for some sugar, for some a jolt of energy or too much caffeine. Mm-hmm. If you don't sleep, you're certainly not going to want to go exercise.
As I refill my coffee over here, that is full.
I mean, in the morning,
I didn't sleep very well last night. So there we go.
Oh, well. If you don't sleep, you're certainly not going to want to go exercise. If you don't sleep, you're not going to, your stress is going to increase. Do you find that you said that you have to manage your anxiety? Do you find that it's linked to sleep?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That sleep affects it a lot? Okay. Mm-hmm. So it's vitally important. And those of you who have kids, that if anything is awry, it is just the most nurturing thing to have them go, just put them to bed. They're probably tired. So fundamentally, I think that is what we need most is sleep. And I think that is, we also don't get enough exercise, and we don't eat well in our culture, but we also aren't sleeping, and we're really not talking about how we're not sleeping. Mm-hmm. I think the pandemic has maybe brought that to light. And I've noticed that a lot of people have mentioned to me, well, gosh, I'm sleeping so much more. So maybe that's one of the silver linings of the pandemic, is realizing, gosh, I wasn't sleeping before. Mm-hmm. So that's where it needs to start, is with sleep. That's the foundation. Yeah. And then after that, probably, after we set the foundation for your why am I doing it? What's my purpose of wanting to be well? And we established that you've got to sleep. Then we kind of take a deeper dive into the other pillars of wellness, but it's really all centered on the fact that all of these pillars are there to make you best able to carry out your purpose and your reason for being on earth. And it's interesting to me because every human, we maybe eat a little differently, and everybody needs maybe a little bit different sleep, but we all of these things are needs for all humans. The exercise, sleep, nutrition, time management, stress management, life balance, we all need those things. It's a universal thing, and that's how we were created. And so it kind of levels the playing field as far as wellness goes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know if there's, I'm interested to know if there's anything in scripture or how that, I don't know, bring that back to what the church says about that.
About, say about,
just I guess, is there anything about the importance of caring for our bodies and, in a way that makes it so that we're best able to carry out our jobs on earth and why we're here?
Yeah. What's really interesting is about this is the main heresy of the early Christian church is this thing called Gnosticism. And it's very like Platonic, you are a soul, with that lives off in your mind, and there are forms and ideas, and the world is this sort of broken thing that you must endure before your spirit escapes into something greater, and it leaves these fleshy tents behind. And that's really not the story of Scripture. The story in Scripture is that God created the world and loved it and will redeem it. And we say every Sunday we believe in the resurrection of the body. Like your body. This, and so the centrality of that importance and working against this Gnostic idea of a disembodied spirituality is something that people do now, right? Like, oh, I can go say my prayers and on Sunday mornings or whatever it is, and the rest of my life is somehow unaffected by that, right? Like the thing you have to believe and think about correctly in order to get to heaven, but the lived experience, how you live your whole life in your body, is somehow disconnected from that. And Gnosticism was really, you think of the martyrs of the early church, right? Like the people who were getting thrown to the lions were the ones who said, my body matters, right? The Gnostics could go off and say, yeah, I can, whatever you say, I can have my own private spirituality, and it doesn't matter. But the martyrs of the early church, the ones that we celebrate, were the ones that said, no, like our bodies matter here, and they matter so much, even willing to put them on the line.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you really get into physiology and anatomy and the intricacies of how our bodies work, it is just like it. I mean, we still don't know everything about how our bodies work, but I might be taking a step too far here, so please tell me how this. But to me, it almost feels, I don't know what the word is because it's going to sound judgy, like disrespectful to not. This is, your body is the only way that you can carry out your purpose on earth. And this is if you don't have your body, you're certainly not gonna be able to be a priest.
Yeah.
So it just almost feels like this is this miraculous thing that we have, and you're smoking, like, I just so it just to me is almost like, I feel like it must hurt God's feelings. Tell me, that is how I see it.
Yeah, well, I mean, all of your physical, like, reality, like if this world and your body are for nothing, if it's just going to be thrown away so you can go off to some happy, hereafter, then why bother with ecology? Why bother recycling? Like, why bother taking care of the things around? Why get a PhD? Like all of the things that we say that this planet needs, that we need, don't matter with a sort of spirituality that disconnects the body from everything else. And so, yeah, I mean, Paul is always saying it, that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit. Forget these people who say that your body doesn't matter. Forget them, because it matters so much. And in fact, the Holy Spirit is going to dwell in it.
Right. Yes. And so it really, for me, it truly is not a place of judgment. It's more like, I wish you saw your worth as I do, because if you did, you wouldn't treat your body the way you are. And that is that's where I come from. That's my starting ground for wellness, is that you are God wants you here. So do everything that you can to fulfill your purpose. And it has to be, you have to take care of your body in order to do that. So, all right. So we've got, did you want to say anything more about that?
No, I just think that really bleeds out into so much of how we treat our world, just in general. I think the same way of how could you do this to the soil? How could you live in such a destructive relationship with your environment? And we all do. I mean, part of the problem is that we don't actually know how we're living, or the repercussions of what we do, or we downplay it, and particularly in environmental ethics or whatever, right? Like we're all caught in the system that is like inescapable, basically, right? We cannot exist as modern people without actively destroying our world. And something like that happens at an individual level too, right? Like there's a way that we have ordered our lives now where I know I cannot, order clothes without someone across the sea being quite harmed by my actions, right? So, and it's always been that way to some extent, but now we know, we have that information available to us. So does that make sense? We're all like actually quite complicit in, in this.
And we take care of the things that matter to us. Or the way we live, just like you said, you're not gonna order something from Amazon because there's so many, or I don't know, whatever you meant. Because the harm that it could cause. And, I'm not saying that we can go through life without causing any harm, but we can cause the least amount of harm to the things that we value and the things that we find important. So, and I think it has to start with ourselves. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have to realize that we're of value. And then I think once you start to think of your life in terms of I am valuable, everyone is valuable, then maybe you start to think that, it matters the way, recycling matters, or, air pollution, and the people that are, across the other side of the world, they matter. So for someone who teaches wellness, it starts with taking care of yourself, and then it just kind of expands from there.
Interesting. Zeta's made a couple of good comments about being Westerners, living in our heads. We forget we have our bodies. Yeah, we have this introspective consciousness to us. And then we are more aware, when we're more aware of our body, we feel our environment and pay closer attention. So I think that's true.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah. You're just, I think when you practice wellness, and I'll try to define that a little bit better before we leave here, but when you practice wellness, you are just a more conscious human. Mm-hmm. Things matter. The way you go throughout your day matters. The time that you go to bed matters. How you structure your time, and whether you went for your walk or whatever, it matters. Everything matters. So just being complacent with anything is just, harmful to, everyone on the earth, really. So let's see, we start with sleep. And I getting back to kind of the holistic part of wellness, that, you can't just take one of those 6 pillars and really focus on it, because it's going to throw everything off kilter. So let me see if this, so I kind of, when I'm teaching at least 10th graders, let me see if we can, no, that doesn't, oh yeah. So I just I write this, this holistic wheel of wellness, and that everything affects the other. Your exercise is going to make you sleep better. And if you exercise, you tend to eat better. And if you manage your time, you'll be able to fit in exercise. So all of it, again, matters. We have to pay attention to the entire kind of ball of wellness.
Yeah, so, and Nancy up there made a comment, I need exercise in order to sleep well and eat, and then eat right? Like there's no way to isolate any of it, but it,
yeah, it all feeds on the other. So, what is the most important? We've identified that sleep is the number one, the most important thing to take care of our wellness, as at least to start. What within sleep for you, Amber, what is the most important way for you to get quality sleep? Do you have anything that you do in particular to make sure that you sleep well or get enough sleep?
I don't think so. I sleep
Okay.
pretty well. I mean, just in general, but you're not, there are all these things you're not supposed to do, like watch, like piddle on your phone, and you're not supposed to, watch TV, and it helps me to read a book instead of all
Yeah.
of that before I go to
Yeah.
bed. But sometimes I
Yeah.
do, sometimes I don't, but
Well, you already, yeah,
oh,
go ahead.
no caffeine after noon. That's for me.
Yes.
That's been a hard lesson in aging. So it
Yes.
didn't used to be so, but now it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So truly, part of the reason I think people cringe when they hear wellness is because people like me tell them things that they don't really want to hear. Like, yes, it's really true that if you are on your screen, at 10 o'clock with that bright light right in your face, I don't even really believe the difference between the blue light and the orange light. I think it's, if you have any light that close to your face, your brain is going to think, oh, it's daytime, I need to be up and I need to be productive and thinking. And so the number one thing to start being healthier and more well is to put your phone down. Don't sleep with it in your room. Maybe read instead, and not on your tablet. I mean, these screens are gonna, we have not become healthier with screens, that's for sure. I'm grateful for them right now for today, but they're not helping us out. So the more you can limit your screen use, the better, especially screens that a laptop or your phone that's really, within, a foot of your face.
Yeah.
So that's a huge thing. And it's so hard to get kids. Oh my gosh. That's to convince parents to make their kids, put down their screens, keep them out of the bedroom. That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then if I would just like to give just maybe little tidbits, since we've reframed wellness from a place of, worth and purpose, leave maybe with just a couple pointers of the most important things that I think people need to do in order to kind of start. So sleep, getting off your screens. With exercise, I think some people cringe when they think about exercise too, and it might go back to PE class, or being made to do something that your body just physically can't do, or being deconditioned and starting and it doesn't feel good. But if you can just find something that you somewhat enjoy, or with clients, I reframe it and to say, okay, let's find something that you hate the least. It becomes, our bodies are made to move. We're made to exercise. So if we can kind of just get over that hump of the uncomfortable feeling of this feels strange, I'm breathing hard, my heart is beating fast. If we can just get past that, exercise, I promise, will feel so much better, because that is how God made our bodies. We're supposed to move. Mm-hmm. So if that helps people to think about how they can start exercising, that's one way to do it. Mm-hmm. For nutrition, I don't know if you heard several years ago, there was a study done on rats with sugar addiction, and they had one group of rats they got them addicted to cocaine, and the other to sugar. And somehow they ended up giving them the choice whether they could choose to have the sugar or the cocaine, and they chose sugar. So sugar is extremely addictive, and our bodies are not made to consume as much sugar as we do. So if with nutrition, you don't have to, eat kale every day. If you can just decrease your sugar intake, that would be, that's probably the number one thing that I work with clients on initially. Stress. Oh my gosh. Do you want to talk about stress and how it fits into your wellness plan, or how you take care of yourself
stress management? Yeah, I mean,
stress?
I don't even know if I have a construct for stress management in the way that I do other things, right? It just exercise is a piece of it, right? I need to be in the sunshine to manage my stress. One of the things that one of the other things that irks me about discussions on wellness is sometimes it feels like people use it as like a cop-out, like I can't give my all to this work because I'm setting personal boundaries on space and time or whatever, in a way that feels very performative.
Yes.
And is like, oh, I mean, yeah, we're all trying to manage our stress here, but one of us is holding a parade about it. Like, while that is also important, like to hear, I used to so my dad goes into work at during tax season at like 5 a.m. He works until 7 p.m. It's like his playoffs. He loves it. He lives for it. Like it's his, it's what, I mean, he won't say it, like he doesn't get any sleep, but like, I don't know. There's a way that when people don't model good behaviors and good boundaries around time and managing your stress, that it kind of bleeds out everywhere. And you, like, when you're not the person working, it's 14 hours a day, then somehow it's then it makes you feel terrible.
Right. Yeah. So those people are using, yes, that drives me crazy too. The wrong application of wellness as an excuse, and instead of a way to help themselves, help them to perform the tasks that they need to be the best they can be. I mean, if you're using it as a way to say that you can't do something that you need to do, then that is definitely a misapplication of wellness. But I think when we are stressed out, and certainly right now, mental wellness workers are working, mental wellness is an issue right now. But if you probably realize this, Amber, if people will just take 5 or 10 minutes out of their day to pray, meditate, just sit in some silence, put the screen down, stop their brains from going haywire all the time, it is that after sleep might be the next thing that I would say that people need to do to practice wellness, is just, my time is generally like 4 o'clock when I get home, before making dinner or whatever. I try, now it's not perfect, but I try to go in my room and just like 10 minutes, just let my brain be quiet. Breathe. Yes. Breathing, breathing tricks our brains into it. That's what meditation is telling our brains that we're okay. We're not in danger. We are, if you were running from a tiger, you would be breathing really fast. When you're not in danger and when you're calm, you're breathing very slowly. So if you can, everybody look up after we're done with this square breathing. It's a way to breathe slowly and rhythmically, so that your brain thinks that so that you realize that you're safe and you're calm. And then time management. How are you going to fit all this in? You have to be deliberate with how you structure your day. And when you know that you're worthy of taking care of yourself, when you have a purpose and you've got a job, you find ways to do that.
Yeah. And I think, now that you're saying it, right, like there are things that I do to order my day in a way that's less stressful, right? Like for lunch, for me, it's like something I can eat almost as quickly as possible, so that the rest of the lunchtime, I just can go on a really long walk and come back. and kind of reset from the, like, I don't know. I feel like, the longer, you're at work, you're just like the anxiety builds, like, got it, task. And then kind of sweeping that away and coming back in the afternoon is, one way for me. But I think one of the, that gets, and I'm taking up too much time here because we're gonna have to close up, but this, sometimes I think my struggle with wellness and this idea of like meditation and prayer, which is a big part of my life, that it had to be like I had to reach a certain level of contemplation in order to be doing it right. And I'm a person with a lot of energy, and it was Thomas Merton, who's this great contemplative monk, who was talking to us, so like there are just people out there with too much energy to live a contemplative life, and I think I'm one of those people, right? Like I make space and I really do, like, but my letting go of some of those, I have to reach nirvana by the end of this yoga session or something, is letting go of that was really important for me, and and actually reaching a place of wellness and not be stressed about my inability to reach wellness.
Yes. And so that's the perfect ending, because the last thing that I think people are like, I hate wellness is that they think that it has to be perfect, that there's this like perfect, I mean, it's an ever evolving thing. No week is ever, I've never had a perfect week of wellness. I never will, because life just throws, curveballs at us and we have to just roll with it. You're never going to have perfect nutrition. You're never going to have perfect exercise. You're never going to have perfect meditation or prayer. And you do the best you can.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Well, thank you, Heather. I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope that folks who have been listening along here have enjoyed it too. Maybe had some thoughts change about how to frame how we live whole, human, joyful, well lives.
Yes. And it's not cringy anymore.
Yes, that's right.
All right. I've loved it. Thank you so much for talking with me.
Thanks, Heather. Have a good Sunday, and we will catch y'all downstairs at church.
All right. Bye.
Take care.